So sit up straight. We begin. Make sure your seat is comfortable. Make sure your knees are level with your hips. As you can see, I'm sitting on something slightly unorthodox in the Iyengar yoga world. I'm sitting on a little zafu, and I kind of like it because it lets my thighs release down, lets my outer hips be more open. So a way you can do this with blankets is to sit on a stack of 2 or 3 blankets, but sit on the corner of those blankets instead of on the edge. One other option, if you've got a bolster, is instead of sitting on the wide support of that seat, sit on the narrow edge. We have several options. Yeah. So I'll just go for these blankets here. The idea is your pelvis wants to be high enough that when in your swastikasana, in your cross-legged position, you are seated, this thigh is able to descend hip level. Outer thighs descend, drop the side waist, ribs, arms. Close your eyes. Join your palms. Draw your attention in. Bring your thoughts away from outside things. Go in. Follow the exhalation to its end. In this quiet, inward turned way, pay homage to your practice and to that root teacher of yoga, Patanjali. Bow your head. Release your hands. Raise your head. Open your eyes. Now, stretch your legs. Adjust your pose. If there was anything wrong with it for some of you, you picked a new support. So if it wasn't quite high enough or low enough or whatever, or maybe you want to try the other one. Change the crossing of the legs. Sit up tall. In your adjustment, make sure the sides of the pelvis are tall. You know how I've been speaking about lengthening the bones. I'm going to keep on saying that. Leg bones, they grow longer toward the joints. finger bones, hand bones, forearm bones. There's two upper arms. All these long bones have joints at either end. Or there's a growth place right at the end of the fingertip. These round bones and, you know, odd shaped bones, your shoulder blades, your pelvis. What you want to think about is, again, lengthening, expanding, whatever it means, moving toward that joint, drawing toward the joint. So you've got hip joints here. Your hip blade has to expand to, oops, sorry, I'll turn around to all the way. It's got to expand toward the sacroiliac and toward the hip socket. It has to expand toward the sockets. Now, it also happens to have an upward joint and a joint with your buttock bone. So expand the length of the pelvis. Sacrum, long, joint to the tailbone, to the lumbars, and broad out to its joints, other ilium. Keep thinking your expansion is to the joints. So this side pelvis goes toward the hip socket and away from it, expanding. Stretch your arms, shoulder problems, touch your fingertips on the floor, all 10. Now, see to it, keep all 10 on the floor and see that all 10 are equal and the elbow straight and the bones lengthening. Once those bones lengthen, you got to think of the shoulder blade also expands toward the socket and away from it. It expands away from the skull. Okay, shoulders okay. Study which finger is pushing more. Inner fingers or pinky fingers as the deficient finger. Most of us, it's the pinky. Roll the arm bones back. Okay, rest. Was okay, not okay? Okay-ish. All right. Stretch your arms, keep those bones long, grow them up to horizontal. Spin from the shoulder blade. Expand it again and take your arms up. Go way up, way up. With your left hand, catch your right wrist and pull the right side longer. You can push toward the skin and get an exterior stretch. You can pull straight up and get an interior stretch. Change wrists, pull up. So you are physically drawing that spine, those muscles, your vertebra growing longer. Release, come out, keep that height. Good. Turn to your right. Be careful. Got all this height. It's not dangerous. That's not what I mean. Be careful. I mean, don't lose it. So the left hand goes back on the floor or catches the blankets or catches a brick if there's nothing to catch. And the left hand holds the right knee. As you turn, stay as tall as possible. Absolutely. Not only that, spread your bones, grow your bones. When you grow the bones toward the joints can open. The joints can soften. Breathe. Follow your breath. Now, please slowly stay tall, come back, stay evenly seated, evenly tall. Karen, is your hip okay with this position? No. Well, please fix it. Thank you. Rule 1, don't make more trouble than there already is. That's for me as well as for you. Sit up straight, adjust those shoulders by adjusting those fingers. Lengthen to the shoulder as much as to the floor. If the floor is too far away, bring your hands in closer so you can lengthen in both directions. Soften those joints. Then turn. Keep the height. Recover the height. So don't let the hips change their grounding. Lift your trunk tall. If you widen your elbows, the bone lengthening actions can continue and the shoulder blades can continue. And come out. Okay, now we're gonna do Adho Mukha Virasana, Adho Mukha Svanasana, Ardha Uttanasana, and as complete an Uttanasana as you can. This means some of you may need bricks to go under your hands when you walk your hands back. You may need height under those hands to come to the halfway pose before we go all the way down. So prepare yourself, get props where you need them, and sit in Virasana, stretching the shins. Lengthen those thighs back. And Karen, if there's a hip pain, that just from contact, you can pat it with a blanket, just enough to make the hip comfy, however it works for you. Think of the side pelvis being long as much as these thighs being long. Now you go forward. The front pelvis is lengthening away from the buttock bones as you come forward. Stretch your arms, rest your head on something, an appropriate height that allows your throat to stay long. Right? Don't get all kinds of extension, only to lose it right at the end. Knees apart, knees wide apart, toes touch. Yes, that makes it very easy to fold in those hips. Stretch your arms. It's easy to, at 4 p.m. to get tired. Be active, stretching the arms. Now come up and in theory, you just keep your hands right where they are, turn your toes under. Before you lift off, be soft in the pelvis. So as you come up, you can feel yourself lengthening those outer borders, buttock bones to top pelvis, hip socket to outer top hips, front hip blades away from buttock bones, and expand toward the sacroiliac, outward, inward, downward, upward. Stretch your bones. Expand your shoulder blade toward the shoulder socket so you get broad across those top shoulders. And you feel the strength of that shoulder blade support pushing out through the arm. Move, lengthen the shoulder blade also away from the skull. So you keep the sides of the neck long. Expanding your bones toward every joint is a good thing. And it makes it possible to expand every joint. Push with your hands, walking back toward your feet. That means roll your heels toward the floor. Yep, until you get to half Uttanasana. That is vertical legs, vertical arms, horizontal spine. So you have space to lengthen legs towards your heels, lengthen your arms toward the floor. Now this is also for the neck, Leanne, with your and everybody. However, you can do this being on fingertips or palms flat, either way. Stretch the arm away from the spine. Push that shoulder blade toward the shoulder socket and through to the floor. Also grow that shoulder blade away from the skull. And away from the shoulder socket, grow that bone. Stretch your arms. Then get ready, if you will, for the whole pose. Meaning, take your hands alongside the feet and exhaling, take your head down. Legs straight. Bend your elbows. Go down. Lengthen the side waist. Now, if it is comfortable for you, take the arms, cross the elbows, so your hand holds the upper arm. Bring it alongside your ears or even behind them, so your armpits open, and stretch the side trunk down, so that you feel that length coming all the way to the side waist, side pelvis. Good. Relax then. Bring your hands to your hips. Strong legs, strong hips. Inhaling, come up. And I'm going to clean some props off to the side. You might too. Now, we're going to do 1 or 2 strong-ish standing poses. So if you need wall support behind you, or a chair, or something in addition to a brick, please go ahead and take that. You take the support that is appropriate at the time it is appropriate. So I see, Monica, do you have experience working with props like chairs or walls? Because the corners that your video shows me make really nice. If you see, right, where's my finger? See that brown? Well, this can be used as a brace for a hip. See how my hip sits against it in standing poses. So I can have actually quite a good support just at the hip. And what's nice is the wall gives me a way to stretch my chest and do lovely things. You can't see my back leg, but you can, it looks like that. And the doorway is against my outer hip. So Monica, you've got that option, but I'm telling you, it's not the knee against the door frame, it's the hip itself. So if this were the door frame, or this, my top thigh, right at the hip socket, would, close to it, would be supported on that door. So I could lean back on that door frame. That's where you want it to be. So it's quite firm. Okay, just so you know, let's get started. That's how you use that support. And if you move the chair, I will see you better. Stand up straight, being in Tadasana. Reassemble your attention. Reassemble the stretch of the legs. Then, inhaling, join your fingers, exhaling, step or jump your feet apart. Now, Karen, you have to be very careful with your hip and how it might be irritable. So you keep your mind focused. Stretch through the outer heel. The whole outer heel push down onto that floor. From the hip socket, push a line to the outer heel. Stretch the arms. Adjust all your bones to keep that action. Turn your right leg to the right. Now you have to adjust this right leg to push through the big toe, inner foot, not the outer foot, the inner foot. You're still on the outer heel here. Push from the hip and exhaling, bend your right knee. This is where you need to be near that door frame so you can take support as needed. Inner foot, never give up the outer heel, never, ever. Pull up to the side pelvis. Sit down through the buttock bones, up through the front hips, long through the side hips. Spread the sacrum, spread the hip blades, spread the shoulder blades. Inhale, come up, turn the feet, join your fingers, and join the feet. Stand there for a second. Karen, I can't see your face, but I can see your hands. Are you okay? If you tip your camera up just a tiny bit, I will see all of you. Good. Thank you. Side two, join your fingers, step your feet apart. Okay. Outer heels, both legs. Adjust all that leg bone, foot bone, pelvis, spine, every bone lengthening to feed that action. Then turn the left leg. When the left thigh is turned, the work shifts to the inner foot, inner heel, big toe. Outer right heel, inner left foot. Equally strong. What do your pelvis bones have to say about that? Some of them shrank a little bit, expand them again, stretch up. Now, stretch your arms back to the right side as you bend your left knee. Outer right heel, inner left foot. Karen, if you're comfortable, your stance is too short. You need more length. If your stance is not comfortable, play it. I mean, if that hip is not comfortable, be conservative. Inner foot, outer heel, trunk upright, expand shoulder blades, pelvis. Inhale, come up, turn your feet, join your fingers and join your feet. Okay, Parshva Konasana. Karen, you make sure you stay high in your Parshva Konasana. Also, if you recall, having a strap around that thigh that helped rotate the bone correctly. Do you remember that, Karen? Was it useful? That you, especially if you had a bad moment there, make sure you do render assistance. Make sure, Karen, make sure the tightening of that strap is to the outside. Tighten it to the outside. So if it's going across your right thigh, it tightens, pulling outward. And make sure you wrap it one extra time. All right. And keep that strap way high on the thigh. You're talking to the femur bone at the hip socket. Gay, you could do this too, you with these tight hips, but not necessarily today. We'll try it a different day. Take your feet apart. Okay. Parshva Konasana. Stretch your arms. Those using the strap, the back hand is going to come and catch that strap from behind across the buttock. It straps. Don't take it down, take it across the buttock. So it's going to help you lengthen that pelvic bone. Turn to the right. Turn your right thigh. Outer left heel. And I'm going to be more specific. Outer back left heel. Turn your toes in, Karen. Left toes in. Outer back left heel, like there's a point. You're pushing from the hip to that back heel. Inner right foot. Exhaling, bend your right knee. Reach the right arm up away from the outer left heel. Push from your right foot toward your left heel. Reach out and over. Come to a brick. Push hard on that brick, as hard as you're pushing on your back heel. Take that brick as high as you need to, Karen. I suggest a tall brick for you, Karen. Just keep that hip working. Your back hand is holding that strap, Karen, pulling it down. Pull it down. Bend your knee, Karen. Bend your knee. Bend your elbow. Push the strap down. The rest of you, take your arm overhead. Inhale, then complete that pose. Push your back heel, and then take the arm back. Inhaling, come up. So look, using this strap, if you're going to use it, you have to actually make use of it. So watch. I'm going to put it on the left side because we're changing sides. So I'm going to show you left side. The strap goes at the top thigh, and it wraps. You know this. And you catch it from behind, so it goes over the top of the pelvis. But that doesn't mean you just, that's not the end of it. I should have gone the other way. When you come into this pose, this is helping keep this outer thigh, especially if you tighten your strap sufficiently. It drags an external rotation. It sits that hip socket down and away from the arm. You don't want to go up here. You want to drag that buttock down, and you come to your brick. Do you see it? Drag your buttock down, not up. Push on that strap, and it will adjust buttock and hip. Karen, turn your right hand, palm out. Hold the strap, palm. Look, Karen, internally rotate your hand. Hold with, yes. Now bend your elbow like I showed. Walk your hand in toward your left hip. Yes, and push. Now take the pose. Reach out, reach over. Lengthen your side. The pointy outer back heel. The big toe of the left foot. Connect them to each other. Lift your, roll that shoulder, chest open. Arm by the ear, Leanne. Bend your knee, Monica. And take your hand to a brick and take your left hand over your head. Parshva Konasana. Oh, I'm sorry. If you're holding that strap, you do what is expedient for that hip, but roll your shoulder open. The rest of you, please come up. That looks good, Gay. That was a nice looking angle there. All of you actually did a good job. I hope you're not dead, because that's not the worst of it. sorry, that's the exact wrong word. It's not the most intense of the day. Here's the intensity. Now I'll show you two ways. Here's a chair. Here's an easy way. Let's see. I'll go like this. So, well, I'm sort of doing the wrong. I'll show you this way. So my front leg is right against the edge of this chair. So imagine when I bend my knee, I can almost come and sit on this chair, just on the edge. I mean, seriously, just perched on the edge, just perched. And if I were in the absolute correct pose, I would not be perched. I would be just off the edge of that chair. Okay, so you have a choice. You could sit on the chair, you could sit off the edge. That's not the point. The point is what your back leg is doing. So here, you turn and you keep that back heel on the floor and you turn your hips to face forward. The way you keep that back heel on the floor is push through the inner thigh, inner leg to the inner heel. Push. And when you bend your right knee, push it from the inner left heel, face forward. Take support of that chair with your right hand. Your left hand holds your right knee. So you just get some support, that's all. Stretch that left hip. Lengthen the outer hip. The chair edge, sit all the way down so your outer hip touches that outer chair. Horizontal thigh. All the support you want with your hand on the chair. Stretch your back inner heel to the floor. Turn that hip. Yes, Pratima. Very good. I can't see your heels, but I can see a very straight leg. Chaya. Yes. Lengthen through the ribs. Good. Come out. Okay. Turn the feet, bring the feet together. It should feel like a strong pose. So I'm giving you a chance to, settle towards symmetry. Now, just a word of caution. I know some are new to this. This is very strong hip work, very strong. So if you're new to it, really, it's understandable that you might sort of, feel like this is hard. So I'm offering this support for your arm. Don't let the hips turn too much to sit on the chair. Much better that you take more weight on the arm and you keep, if you can see this leg is kind of lined up with that back heel. Okay, so this hip has to help that, can't be over here. So do all the chair support you can use, but keep the line. Turn. I hope you're on side 2. Stretch that inner right thigh. This is the difficult leg game. So keep that inner right heel on the floor. Put your right hand around the top hip blade like a horseshoe-shaped thumb finger right around the side top pelvis and roll it so the side pelvis helps you lengthen. Roll forward, okay. Roll, yes, roll forward and stretch the inner heel back. Outer hip forward, inner heel back. Super pressure, heavy on the inner back heel, so much that the leg straightens. Come out. Okay, so watch what this turns into. And I'll show you with the chair for those who find this strong. And I'll also show you without the chair. It's the strong pose of the day. Excuse me a second. Okay. So I'm going to turn toward my chair. Okay. So watch. My feet come apart. And if you see, my right foot is in the vicinity of the front of that chair. And I turn the left toes well in. And I turn the right leg out. And you can see how my heel is right near that front chair leg. Okay. So when I come down in the pose, I might be able to shift just a tiny bit and sit on that chair the full length of my thigh and roll this hip forward, leaning forward. I put the elbow outside my knee and I keep stretching that inner back heel to the floor and let me rip this elbow to turn. Never lose the inner back heel. Sit on that chair, Karen. Sit on that chair. Put your knee in front and your foot on the floor and stretch your back heel back. Make your thigh parallel to that edge of the chair seat. Push your back heel into the floor and use that to roll this pelvis. Cross your back hand over the front knee. Focus even more on that inner hip to inner heel. Cross the elbow over to the outer knee. Turn towards your chair back. Stretch your back leg. Inner heel down. Turn towards your right foot there, Pratima. But keep your left inner heel down. That is the whole proposition here. So move your foot closer. Move your toes closer and stretch the heel down. Okay, go. Keep going. See, that's a little better. Yeah. Stay high in the pose. Just lever with the elbow outside the knee. Stretch from the back heel. This is Parivrita Parsva Konasana. Cross that elbow, Laura, outside the knee if you can. Oh, your hands on the floor. Excellent. Perfect. Take as much pose as you want, except you're looking back toward the camera. Before you do that, straighten your spine out. Get your head in line with that back heel. Feel the line from the ears to that back heel. Both ears. Then you can take the rest of the pose. Come out. Those who are working independently, that's quite a while you're in that pose. Come out. Okay. I hope you're all right. That's pretty intense, yes? Let us take so two versions. There is Prasarita Padottanasana with support or without. So the feet come up as before. Keep the outer heels down. Thighs back. Open this front spine. Lengthen the pelvis bone and come forward. So if you sit, the chair will come in and you'll be in the halfway pose like this. And when we take the full pose, your arms will stretch very far. And you see, you don't push the chair quite too far. Your forehead can rest and you can stretch. Those with more flexibility, the hands will go to the floor and you will stretch very long. And then those who can will hang down. Okay. So a chair as needed. Fold forward. Don't take your head down immediately. Take that halfway pose with your hands on the floor and the spine horizontal. Legs vertical. So lower hips back so the weight is vertically over the heel. And then crawl, stretch your arms forward, either on the floor or on the chair. Be long, be very long. Then keep the weight over your heel. Exhale, those who wish to exhale, bend the elbows, take the head all the way down between your feet.
Devon?
Yes.
For me, your voice is garbled.
I'm here. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, even I can understand you, Devon.
Really?
Yeah.
There must be a connectivity issue because in return, you guys are slightly garbly to me too. So, I apologize. Well, in that case, use your eyes. Watch this next pose. I'll do it silently. Just watch. My head is not on the floor. Both sides. Do that. Those who are new, just put your hands on the floor and just be like this. Trying to raise the hips. When you're tired, you come out. So if you can't hear me, keep the weight on the forearms even. Keep the bones long, shoulder blades expanding. Every time you catch the fingers clenching or squeezing, unclench them. Keep the arms firm and the hands soft. Stretch your legs when they go up. This is a way of sneaking an inversion in. Without putting weight on the head. But it makes the blood circulation behave totally like an inversion. Release, come out. Now, make a hand signal if you have knee pain, knee problems. No knee problems. Good. Take a blanket, have 2 blankets. You can put one down on the floor. I'm going to put it down so it goes long. Okay? And you may need a second blanket. So watch. This is your right foot. I'm going to put my right foot on the floor, knee pointing forward, foot pointing, you see it sideways, so I can sit on it. Let's see, off this blanket, it might be more visible. The foot is not pointed straight back, it's hooked sideways. So I sit right buttock on heel, left buttock on the right toe. And at first you sit just with the left knee bent, and after a bit it crosses over, and you keep your balance. Take support, change side. Here's the other way to go in. This is left foot. I bend to left knee. Tuck the
Devon,
left
are
foot
you
in.
sitting on the foot?
Yes,
Oh, okay.
yes, look. That foot tucks in and I sit on it. Now, if there is trouble, you put a blanket support between your foot and your buttock. But you sit there. This is why I asked about knee problems. And then cross your foot over. Okay. Yes, you sit on that foot, and presumably the knee allows. Okay, if the knee pains you, this is not your pose today. I'll give you a different one. All right, this is both sides, yes? Now, come out and we'll go back to side 1. Unhook, give support, stretch your legs. Remove and or refresh any support. So again, there's more or less 2 ways of going into this. One is you fold the knee and tuck your foot, you might say, from the outside, and then those toes turn and you sit. So you sort of make a circle and sit, right? Or you bring it in from the inside, right? Fold, bring it in and sit. Use a blanket spacer as needed. Cross the left knee over the right. Sit up straight. Now, can you balance? Can you hold with the right hand and take the left hand to a brick or the floor behind you? And lift your spine up and turn toward the up knee. This pose is called Ardha Half Matsyendra Lord of the Fish Asana. Half Lord of the Fish. You want to think of your legs as folded up like fish fins. Come out. That might seem a little far-fetched, but if you fold your legs cross-legged, You can think of yourself as having two fish fins. And then your trunk is the body of the fish. Come out and you change sides. Cut that foot in. Use your hand if you like. Keep pain out of the knee. Period. There is no pain in the knee joint that is acceptable. Cross that right foot over. Nice if it's on a sticky mat, not a blanket, so it has a grip. Work on your balance. Hold the knee. Then catch with the left elbow or left hand, right hand to some support, the floor, brick, whatever is convenient. Now work hard through the top leg to get the inner foot on the floor. Don't just be kind of at rest with this leg crossed over. You want to be reaching through that inner heel and helping that shin approach vertical. I mean, it may not get there today, but help it approach vertical. And come out. Help that leg out. Give support with the hand and unhook the foot. Now, and base strap. Take that strap and make a biggest loop, like very large, the length of the strap. Let's see. Bend your left knee, putting the strap around your left ankle. Bring your left heel right up close to the right thigh. It's as Janu Shirshasana with the strap around your left ankle. Now, for those who are more flexible, you could take half lotus. If those people are warmed up to it or used to it, please do. Otherwise, Janu Shirshasana. Okay. Now, that strap goes over its own hip, left strap, left ankle, left hip, and the right hand comes around and catches that strap from behind. Yes, put the strap over its own thigh and catch it with the opposite hand. Sit up straight, right hand catches that left side strap. And not only that, but if your shoulder permits, lean forward, crawl around, and try to catch. You see my fingers? I'm trying to get closer and closer. Go round back, go round behind. Look, this strap goes over its own hip. Your hand goes behind to catch it. Yes. First, you got to face forward. Lengthen your bone. Then stretch up. Then catch your shin or your foot and pull your spine up and turn toward your straight leg side. Thread your elbows. Turn. That bent leg, your left leg, reach that left thigh out toward the knee and press it down. Lift your trunk up Okay, your right hand should be way around behind you towards your left outer hip. Walk your right hand around your back. Yes, yes. And now turn toward the door to the room. Yeah. Good. Come up. Release slowly. Help this leg out like you're scooping it up. Let it come straight. Help it take the strap off and stretch it out. So you're being nice to that knee. Okay, Karen, how's your hip? Belt, left knee. Whenever it's convenient, get that strap in. Now, strap on the right leg, sorry, right knee bends. Strap goes over the right thigh. You bring that heel as close as you comfortably can, and if it goes, if you do Ardha Padmasana, be clear that it's safe on your knee. The strap goes over its own hip, and the left hand reaches as far as it can. And you know, in the classical pose, there's no strap, but this hand reaches and catches either the thigh bone or the shin bone. So your strap has caught the shin, and you get as close as you can. Nice to catch the thigh. Take your bent leg arm, right arm up. Open up that chest gate, shoulders back. Loosen up on this strap in your hand. It's giving you a very grippy shoulder. And come forward to that shin or the foot. Lift your trunk up, don't go down, go up and turn. Spread. Breathe, lengthen, steady your feet. Iyengar says every asana is a new predicament. So study your predicament. And I mean, she uses that word and she laughs about it, but for many of us, we consider some part of this pose is a problem. I'm in a fix. How am I going to get out of this? You know, without getting out of the pose? How do I adapt and adjust? Come out. Come out. Two straight legs. Just be in Dantasana. Be at ease in Dantasana. Legs straight, feet slightly apart, hands supporting. Don't fight with the legs, be soft, but upright. Then, still a strap. Lie flat with this front hip open, both legs. Back thigh to the floor, back sacrum just balance level. The low back is not flattened to the floor, it's got its own curve, but it's long. Take your arms overhead, Urdhva Hastasana. Heels away from wrists, wrists away from heels. Okay, very long, very flat. Full extension. So, Pratima, if it's longer in the other dimension, then turn the other way and give yourself the option to really fully extend. Right through. If those fingertips aren't quite fully, getting extended, then push through the heel of the hand and then push through the back of the wrist. So you get both sides of the arm fully extended. All right, take your arms down, bend your knees, roll to your side, watch. Here's a brick. It's got 3 dimensions, flat or low, medium, and high. We're going to take the medium height and put it under the sacrum, going broad across the sacrum. Your sacrum has length to it, right? Lower sacrum, upper sacrum. This brick is at the lower end of the sacrum. So however high it goes up towards your lumbars doesn't matter. As you stretch your legs, you should feel perched right on the pivot point between the sacrum and the tailbone. Do this. Whatever brick you're using, it should not tip. That brick should be level. Now, go carefully as you stretch your legs. The spine has to lengthen. Ribs have to lift. Shoulder blades tuck. The extension of the leg comes from the extension of the spine. The legs are acting to draw out the length of the spine. Rolling those shoulder blades, biceps out, triceps in, acts to open the length of the upper spine. Now, if those knees don't bend without pain in the back, don't straighten. If the knees don't straighten without pain in the back, don't straighten the knees. Be there with knees bent. And work, in this case, to roll those shoulders. Reach out, catch the sides of your sticky mat, and walk out from the back of the arm, that's part on the floor, walk the back of the arm towards your feet. So your hands reach further away from your head on that mat. This is going to act to help to, in one sense, it shortens the spine, but in another sense, it makes it open, makes it expand upward. Lift your ribs. Roll that outer shoulder skin down and under. Roll the top shoulder skin under. Let the collarbones roll toward the floor. So if you really get the ribs lifted and then extend one leg only and go slow so you can see the relationship between lifting the ribs, lengthen in the diaphragm, waist, pelvis. Then the other leg. Don't do 2 at once. Pull that first leg back, stretch the second. And lift the ribs, be generous with the extension and lift, the expansion of the chest. Even raising the heel off the floor to actually get more use out of the strength of the leg. Then everybody bend your knees, bring your feet back in. Some of you will wish to or be able to stand the brick up full height. And you can stay there on your tall brick with your knees bent for a minute or so. Just let the chest open, heels down eventually. And the more flexible among you might straighten legs happily. Some of you will try to stretch the legs, but it will get harsh. Let the side ribs lift. And then everybody come out, please. The knees bend, raise the hips, keep the hips up in the air. Even after the brick comes out, keep the hips up. Breathe. Fully relax the breath, even with the hips up. Ribs, abdomen, throat, head. And now as the hips come down, be very long, long in the spine. One vertebra at a time comes out and down. Long pose. Be there for a moment with the knees bent. Now, those whose spines were not happy with that setu banta, if it was unpleasant in the sacrum, you might want to rest your calves on a chair seat for shavasana, lying on your back, calves on a chair seat. Karen, you're going to want to lie straight-legged with the ankles strapped together so those hips are in a nice, comfy place and they stay. And you may or may not be comfortable with, like really comfortable with the weight across the top thigh. Bolster, sandbag, doesn't take much, but it could be a big weight if it's right up close to the hip. Oh, the pubis, top thigh. Shavasana. Shavasana is the pose where you surrender yourself completely to Mother Earth. So after a few minutes of adjustment, you can become quite still. And once again, you can start following that exhalation. there is this place at the bottom of the exhalation in every breath where there is a small pause during which you give up all the effort and work of exhaling. There's a moment of complete surrender of that effort before it becomes an inhale. It's a moment so brief we mostly don't notice, but it's there. Follow your exhalation and observe that moment of utter peace. And we are at the end of class. You may stay put as you wish. You're home. Don't have to clear the room. So to everyone, I say namaskar.